How long has it been? Almost since like
couple months, bro.
I saw we started talking about this like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
It's probably almost been a year, blood. You never know. Give it a couple more months, and it's probably almost been a year. Like, that's how long man's been talking about doing this thing for.
Welcome to the Everything Post podcast. We've been working on it. Yesterday I was talking to the guys I was with in Bristol about this. I told them that we're starting today because I'd had conversations about stuff like this with him. At some point we'll probably get him to come on, but he turned around and he was like, "Don't you think everything is too broad? Don't you want to zoom in?" And then I was like, "Nah, but that's the point, though."
Blood, that's the whole point, innit? Talk about, bro, because that's what man do anyway.
Trust.
Man talk about everything.
Everything.
So it don't really.
Nothing's off limits.
Nothing's too broad, blood.
Trust.
Man want to talk about it. Man's going to talk about
he
it.
suggested calling the podcast Nothing Specific.
Yeah, it's the same thing, though, isn't it? Ain't that somewhat the same thing? The Everything Post, nothing specific. Yeah, because it is nothing specific. Man just talk about whatever. So that is basically essentially the same name.
But low-key, I was leaning highly towards that purely because I feel like the Everything Post podcast was just too...
That sounds like it could be a little...
thing.
Like a little title kind of thing, you know what I mean? The Everything Post, nothing specific. Like under it kind of thing.
I see.
It's the same thing, bruv.
I see. Me? Yeah, for real. Nah, it's crazy. Where do we start? Are we starting conversations or relationship conversations or...
Oh, blood, don't even go there, dude, blood. You already know. Blood.
Let's go there.
So, you know what I mean?
Nah, for real. Just getting my thing organized. Yeah.
Now, where can I even go on that one? You know what, though? Obviously, I ain't going to go into too much detail because it ain't my business, you get me? But obviously, recent events and whatever, not to do with myself, but somebody else.
Okay.
And, yeah, bruv, obviously their situation, their dynamics is a bit different in terms of their relationship, you get me? So, let me just put it this way. There's more than two people, right? So, it's whatever. But
what he's referring to is essentially what's it called?
It depends because there's bare different shit you can call this. It can be polyamorous. It can be
that's the word.
Not necessarily. I don't know about open, but there's bare different little things it can be. Triangle shit, whatever you want to call it. But I'm not even gonna.
Labels are getting too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of labels for this thing, but I'm gonna get onto that at another day because. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But this specific one here, it's more like yeah, bruv. So basically, long story short, like obviously, all these three, they're together, innit? They're in a relationship, blah blah blah. They've all made that decision to all be together, innit? Yeah. Blah blah blah. The only thing of what they haven't done in their setup, they've not had the talk in it in terms of if they're just gonna keep this between them, or are they gonna allow, or is everybody
like an open thing,
or is everybody within this thing gonna be allowed to see someone outside of it, which technically is what
that's just madness.
Which is what poly tends to end up being, innit? Or whatever.
That's just madness, though.
Yeah, but it's having or. Obviously, some after, you know what I mean. But from what I've got from it, it's, you loving more than one person, innit? Or you having many different loves or whatever kind of thing. So,
by the way, just to clear it up, the main reason why we've had this conversation before is because my argument is it just can't work. It's just not meant to work like that.
Yeah, man.
Whereas my man over here believes it can. Or
I think,
you could explain what your thoughts are, but in my opinion, I don't think that it's something that is like. I don't think it's realistic. I really don't. I feel like the majority of people who get involved in it don't get involved in it for the right reasons and just use the whole idea of
but then I feel like the people that don't get involved in it is the people that they're stuck in the whole thing this traditional thing of being monogamous, isn't it? And being is a two-way thing, and that's what it is, and that's going. And don't get me wrong, the poly thing's going back years as well.
Yeah,
really,
facts.
probably without a title, but
it
then
hasn't
again, the
become
same.
as much of a fad as it is
Yeah,
now.
yeah, obviously now
Yeah.
it's definitely becoming more of a thing, and there's more things on it now, and you're hearing about it more. Like you're hearing much more about it now, but. The monogamous thing, bruv, is what everyone's familiar with, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what everybody's pretty
Growing
much
up
growing up to see, whether it be their mum and their dad, blah, blah, blah. You know, these two people being in a relationship, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Growing up with that. And it's just about, you know, them two sort of, you know, loving each other amongst obviously other things that come with obviously being in a relationship and whatever. But
Yeah.
that's what it is, and you make things work and and like, you know, things are exclusive between you two. And like it's about you two, innit? And it's about making it work, and like, you know, making sacrifices here and there and rare, and just whatever, blood. Like that's what people know, innit? I feel like it's much easier for people to go with what they know than to go with something that they don't know. And as soon as you might think of something that's out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
or like something you're not familiar with, it's like, nah, man, I'm not around people with that, because it's like, What do you mean add another person into our thing, or bring someone else into our thing? You know what I mean? But the thing is with the whole monogamy thing, and I wasn't even trying to touch on this, get me? Because I'm gonna get back to what I was originally saying anyway.
Yeah.
But just to kind of finish it off, like it's like I've kind of lost my trail of thought now. But
because the other day I was watching. I just happened to be watching TV for the first time in a long time.
I feel like I know what you're gonna bring
And
up? Was it on BBC too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Altered
Lewis,
States.
innit?
Yeah.
Or if that's his name, Lewis or whatever his name is.
Lewis Therox or something like that. Altered States came up and they were talking about that topic specifically. Bruh, I've never been so bugged out in my life watching a TV show.
What do you mean?
I feel like that's a blanket statement, but still, like I was just watching it for the time, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what
I had
the
it on his
heck
what?
is going
I had it
on?
on his what? Probably like, I must have put it on like at least like halfway, blood. At least like halfway. But I caught some of it. But then again, like I've been watching all them kind of videos.
Yeah.
Anyway, bruv. So, you know, when I kind of seen it on, I was like, okay, right, it's on BBC too. Like, you know, like this is becoming more a thing. And I keep saying this to
100%.
people all the time. It's
Literally,
becoming more of a thing.
it's so weird because more and more I've been seeing people who are actually, this is more social media type thing, not necessarily in person. But I've been seeing people, like whether it's friends of friends, who actually have this in their bio and stuff like that. And it low-key bugs me out because I'm
What,
like, wow.
What do
like,
you mean? Have what in their bio?
Like poly and stuff like
That's
that.
you know what, this is the thing
confusing.
this is the thing about it though. And I feel like even with the poly thing and people putting it in their bio, or use something to come across it with more like seeing people have it in their bio kind of thing. And even I have, bruv, like one or two or like whatever.
Yeah.
Over like what over like a period of time. But I feel like, see, people's gonna say, how could you put it on the same scale? But me personally, blood, in terms of like, you see that shit, I would say it's probably like almost the same as somebody like saying like, oh, like they're gay or something like that before, like it was before, you know what I mean? Before it was a thing. So I'm saying the way how people probably fought for, you know, for them being gay, I felt like they couldn't express it really too tough and really kind of let people know that that's what they were and whatever. I feel like it's the same thing for people that are poly, bruv. Like they're scared, innit?
It's just
It's a fear thing because it's
because most like
it's gonna be
I should be okay with saying it. The majority of people will be like weirded out by it.
That's what I mean. Because they're gonna look at their thing or whatever this bio's on, and all you're gonna think is, oh, someone's gonna look at this and they're probably gonna judge me.
Fact.
Like this is what I'm trying to say. Like so,
I'd be judging every single one of them.
Unless it's something that you look into and you know about and you look into it, then it's gonna be a judging thing, isn't it? Like this is something you have to look into in order to get it, kind of thing. But I think like for me, bruv, I've been looking into this from like probably like sometime maybe even last year or like from like early this year. whatever kind of thing. But like it's definitely it's interesting. Like it's definitely interesting because I'm not saying that it will work for everybody, but
personally,
I feel like for some people, I feel like it can work. For some people, I feel like that might be the better direction for them rather than trying to do this monogamous thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's just not them, bruv. That's not them. Like they want to see other people outside of, like, not necessarily maybe their relationship, but maybe they just want to add someone in or whatever to just make that interesting. Someone might say, oh, well, why don't you just get with the one person or whatever that can just be all that. But not one person can be all things, bruv. Like, it's impossible, isn't it?
But that's where, in my opinion, is like the kind of original ideas and fundamental kind of how should I explain it? The parts of relationships that most people held on to and still hold on to this day, including myself. It's like the fun and the experience of that whole relationship thing is you're with this one person and not and don't get me wrong, humans are flawed. We're definitely never ever gonna be able to satisfy just one person in all the areas completely. But that's where the aspect, in my opinion, of sacrifice, the aspect of kind of focus comes in, because it gives you something to look forward to. It gives you something to work towards. It gives you this thing that both of you are
of course
aiming to
but then
push
you can
for.
both, but then all of you can do the same thing. It could be the same thing can be applied. It's just all it is just there's an extra body.
Because if that's the case, you could easily look at it and say, all right, so this person isn't satisfying me, therefore, actually, we should be able to get a third person involved.
Yeah, but then
and then you get a third person involved, and then you find another loophole, and then you're like,
that's wrong though.
But then
because I feel like more than likely you're not. To me, that won't make any sense, because then the question arises as to why are you with that person in the first place if they don't fulfill certain needs, or they don't satisfy you, in whichever way that may be, you get me? But then again, that tends to somewhat be some of the case anyway sometimes, bruv. You know what I mean? You're with someone, and whether that's you discover that from early or you discover it later on. But then when you're thinking over shit and and you're thinking about your relationship and you're thinking about the person you're with, like you're looking at things and you're thinking about it, and you're thinking, okay, they might not necessarily fulfill your need in these areas, but sometimes that's something you either think about and that just might hit you in your spare time, and sometimes that might hit you when you do meet someone else, and you do meet someone else, not necessarily because those was your intention, but you meet somebody else and it's like, then it hits you and you're like, actually, this person is doing XYZ for me and it's making me feel this way, and then my current partner or whatever makes me feel this way. So now you've got two sets of feelings, and like you're feeling whole, but not from just one, but from two people. So now this is a question of, do you want to, because this is what usually happens, man. And then
you saying that, it brings up again what I was saying about the whole idea of the relationship thing, is because now you saying you feel whole now that those two people are able to provide something that either the other can't provide,
which usually typically tends to be the case. But
but then you find that with that sense, it's kind of like that means on their end of the scale, if you will, that means with them there are things that let's say, for instance, it's a guy, so it's a guy and two girls, so he is feeling all right now that it's two girls, but either one of the girls potentially could be feeling like, nah, it's not all right, but he's doing this or doing that type thing, in the sense that he might be feeling whole now that two people are able to provide him with either what form of satisfaction he desires, whereas he is one person that can only to some extent provide a form of satisfaction
to them.
either one of the women.
That's right. And
Or
then
both.
what do you think happens from there?
But it just keeps growing.
Well, there you go. But it might not
Would
keep.
you-
It might not. Yeah, but it might not keep growing in the sense of like, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep on adding and keep on adding. Not in that sense, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If I read it back to from what I was saying from the get go,
Yeah.
it's like this is why it could possibly be a thing of like you. Nah, I can't even remember what I was saying when I fucking from the get go, blood. But basically,
Yeah.
I'm saying that it could well be a thing where, you know, that person within this relationship and whatever,
Yeah.
obviously, whether you've had the talk or not had the talk,
Yeah.
might also want to add,
Someone else.
you know, another guy in.
Yeah.
For that example, another guy in, because your previous guy or whatever, your main or current guy is not fulfilling these certain things for you.
Yeah.
And maybe this other guy that you've met, maybe he does.
Mind
So-
you, he's talking from the perspective of a woman.
Yeah, basically. And even if
Yeah.
you flip this, bruv, and again, man know women or whatever,
Yeah.
or a girl that was with two guys. And I'm thinking, how are you with two guys?
Mind you, it's like the way I see it, it's not necessarily okay. I think I did mention that it can't work, but I would like to kind of like backtrack a bit and correct myself. I think it can work, but I think it destroys the whole essence of that relationship, that monogamous relationship
Yeah,
thing.
the traditional relationship.
And don't get me wrong, because it's traditional doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong.
No, it's not bad. I'm not saying this is the thing, right? I'm not saying there's nothing wrong
Because
with having that.
if
you know,
it isn't
that
broken, why
traditional
fix it?
relationship. But it's just, you know, this is what I don't personally like about this whole monogamous thing.
Yeah.
Right? There's too much rules. There's too much rules.
Rules?
Yeah, there's too much rules. There's too much unspoken rules. So,
okay, e.g.
in the sense of, like, you get into something with someone.
Yeah.
You're in the relationship, blah, blah, blah. And, like, you just both know that there's certain things that, like, the other one or
off
whatever
limits.
is not going to tolerate, innit? And
Facts.
it's not acceptable, you get me?
Yeah.
To some extent,
It's chaos if you don't.
To some extent, that's cool. But then at the same time, like, sometimes this can just boil down to small shit, bruv. Like, as much as like seeing someone and saying like, oh, like you find that person attractive or you think they're pretty or whatever kind of thing. Some people's in a relationship, bruv, in a monogamous relationship, typically, and can't even express themselves, bruv, to say that, because they know if they say that it's a madness. But it shouldn't be that way though. And that's just something small. There's many different little things, but you know, I'm just saying.
I genuinely agree with you on that, in the sense that too many people nowadays are too sensitive to the point where someone, let's say that these two people in a relationship and the guy mentions something like that, even if he's not as explicit as that, or he just says, oh, she's good looking or something like that.
Yeah, like
there's a large percentage of women that will probably be like that, and vice versa. It goes the other way as well.
Yeah, of course.
That would just feel a type of way about it.
I don't even think it really even should.
I don't think it should.
But don't get me. But I'm not saying for all. But in some relationships, it is a thing. When really,
but
it
the
shouldn't
reason
be.
why
But that's
it is,
very small though, in terms of me saying like.
I think the reason why
else
that is though
on a bigger scale
is mainly just the idea that if this person is open to saying that, it's kind of like you cross over one line and it's fine, and then you cross over another line and it's fine, and then you cross over another line, before you know it, you're all the way in.
You know what
another area.
You know what I think I meant when I'm saying like there's too much rules. Yeah. I just feel like within a lot of monogamous relationships and whatnot, blah blah blah, like I don't really know, but from my experience and from like all the people that I know around me in that sense or whatever, no one's really having like honest, open kind of conversations towards like in terms of like how they actually feel, blood.
But is
Like
that?
it's all covered up with all this. That it's all sugar coated.
But is
But
that
why it shouldn't be
is that the
sugar-coated?
problem with monogamous relationships, or is that the problem with individuals? Because in my opinion, that's a problem with individuals and how they
I think
choose to go about certain things.
You know, it is an individual thing.
Yeah,
So it is a people thing.
yeah.
But
Because
I don't know.
In that sense, if we look at it like that and we look at it as this person to satisfy.
But remember though,
Yeah.
this is why I still think it's kind of both though. Because remember, with the monogamous thing, like I said, it comes with a set of rules. Sometimes rules that are unspoken, fam. Sometimes things that you're not going to speak on.
I think that whole idea of unspoken rules is just second nature.
That's
to
what I mean.
command
But remember, so
do.
you've got into something.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the fact that you're already in this thing, and like, you've decided to both be together. You say, oh yeah, we're together now.
Yeah.
Rare, whatever. So you're together. You're now in the rules. So
Facts.
these rules apply now, yeah?
Yeah.
And however far down the line it goes, this
Yeah.
might be a year, this could be 2, this might be 4 or 5 years, whatever.
Yeah.
So you're in this many years deep now. And you're feeling a certain way, like you want to say this, you want to say that, you want to get this off your chest, you know. These are things that more speak an open language more than like a just like yeah, it's just about you kind of thing. Like you're more kind of thinking like, oh, like what I actually want and like how you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and this goes for both of them, bruv. This goes for both people in the relationship, because both people need to be satisfied in it. In that sense. And this is what the conversation is about.
But that's why I feel like that whole idea of a monogamous relationship is kind of like the okay, I don't think anything is necessarily perfect, but the best situation based on what we understand as humans currently. Because what you're finding is, from what I believe in a relationship, obviously, mind you, I'm Christian, so you can understand where certain beliefs come from. It's within marriage, for instance, the man is not thinking about himself.
Yeah, of course.
Is kind of a selfless thing where it's like, okay, I'm thinking about how I could be the best version of me for
them,
my
or
significant
her, or whatever,
other.
or
Yeah.
him, yeah.
And she is doing it,
the same
thing.
should be doing the
where
same,
yeah. In which case you get yourself in a position where it cancels out, and you find don't get me wrong, it's not going to be perfect, because as humans we're definitely going to clash here and there.
Yeah, but you do know that's a whole that's into another realm of things, the marriage thing. So even if that's what I mean. That's like another stage of
because the way I look at it in general, even for myself personally, I'm never gonna put myself in a position, whether it's relationship wise, if I don't think.
But
it's
then saying
there.
that, married people still do this. Married people still open up their relationship and whatnot because they want to spice it up or whatever.
But what does that mean though? I feel like we're using all these.
That can mean whatever you want it to mean. So whatever they feel that is spicy to them, or whatever they feel like yeah, like I wouldn't mind that. And this can either go for both, or this could just be for one, or one or the other, just in the relationship. Yeah. And they might necessarily think like, yeah, I want to do this. I feel like we should do this, maybe in terms of spicing up and whatnot. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes, obviously, and this is all probably more like a sexual basis now.
Yeah.
But you know, typical sort of thing. If you're not obviously thinking about anything else,
yeah,
in terms of like doing something with someone else or whatever that is,
yeah,
you know, you think about toys. So it's like, oh, let's get a bunch of toys and, you know, do that kind of thing, spice it up kind of thing, blah blah blah. You know, for some, they're on it, whatever. They get the toys, and obviously for some, they're like, nah. Or maybe you get the toy store, you do the whole toys thing, and then you get bored of the toys. What's next? What can we do now? What can we do next that's gonna be like a bit more thrilling in that sense, or whatever? You know what I mean? And the thing is as well, like even when someone might get mentioned in terms of like bringing somebody else in, or whatever. Like, it's not always looked on. I feel like the people that's not in that or haven't really looked into it, look on it. Well, it depends who mentions it. Well, I don't know whether it's a man or a woman or whatever who mentions it, but they might look at it from like, yo, like it's a solo act kind of thing. Like,
what do you mean?
I mean in the sense of like, they feel like it's a solo act in the sense of like only one person, sort of like, basically there's like someone wants to do that more than the other in that sense.
But
or
that
like,
is
but don't get me
almost
wrong,
always the case.
That's not always the case, bruv. That is definitely not always
that's
the
why
case.
I said almost, because even watching that video, that freaking Altered States.
But that's
one
just
thing I found.
that's just one perspective. But yeah, carry on.
You found like 3 different scenarios, wasn't it? It was like 3 different scenarios where they were in polyamorous relationships. Actually,
I didn't watch the whole thing, but yeah,
it was 4 because he had the first one where the man wasn't about it.
From the get go?
Yeah, he wasn't with it, but from what he said, because he loved his wife and he wanted her to experience stuff, he let her do that. Yeah. And then she was getting with this other dude.
Yeah, that's right.
And that man also had a wife.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just and what I started seeing was the pattern was just being created where in every one of these relationships there was always someone getting the shortest end of the stick, because there's no how that everyone is getting 100%.
The guy that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, who wasn't on it and rare, and he let his wife kind of go off, you know, and to feel, you know, whatever, and have that experience.
Yeah.
Even Lewis speaks about it in the interview, innit?
Yeah.
And he said that with that guy, he doesn't necessarily feel that this guy, you know, he's not, no disrespect him, but he's not the best looking guy, innit? So in terms of obviously being able to branch out there.
Disrespect. Yeah, that's what it is.
No, but Lewis said it himself. Yeah, me to find somebody else, and obviously, you know, branch off and have like another woman come in that finds him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the chances are slim. Man, the chances are slim. So even he was saying like,
no pun intended, considering like, the dude was like,
you know what I'm saying?
£50.
Yeah, bro. So the chances are slim. So basically, he's saying like,
that's jokes.
More than like, he's not gonna get off. He ain't gonna get off anywhere and say like.
He did mention that he's willing to try to see if he is.
Yeah.
I feel like is where someone gets to the point where they have exhausted. They're tired of being alone in it, and so they've just compromised. And it's like, okay,
well, that is a compromise, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely a compromise.
I feel like that is where the problem is, because if someone is definitely gonna get the shortest end of the stick, it means it's not balanced. That's one. Because don't get me wrong, in marriages there you sometimes imbalances where someone is thinking way too much about themselves.
Whether it's marriage or relationships, there's always this. It's always about finding that balance, isn't it?
Yeah. But then you find a situation like that, and even on the other side, the other married man, his wife was having issues with the whole idea, and she was talking about how there was friction in their relationship and stuff like that.
What, before?
No.
Or this is during?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you looked at the other one. Mind you, you guys should probably go check it out. It's on BBC. You should be able to watch it online. But it's in the other relationship with the girl and the 2 guys. They were talking their shit, and the what's his name?
Well, that's the thing. Well, with one, obviously that those 2 were very active, innit? They were very active together. Like they liked being very intimate together, innit? In that sense, where obviously her and her actual husband wasn't like, they wasn't that very intimate anymore, kind of thing, or whatever it is. So I don't know, bro.
But it's like
this is the thing with this whole thing, innit? And you know, it's a good thing to speak about. Obviously, maybe with your partner, or obviously something for you to just look into yourself. But boy, when things do dry up, and if they ever do, and I'm not saying that's for everyone.
Pour water on it. Don't get another person involved.
I'm not saying that's for everyone, but like, And that's the thing. And then you'll get someone saying, yeah, but that's why you got to do this and you got to do that to, keep it alive and keep the fire burning and whatnot. Like, yeah, I get it. But sometimes it's just like, yo, it don't always work, innit? So then,
would it be correct in saying, I'll say in some cases, the reasons why that dryness comes about that you refer to could be because from the get-go, people were looking for completely different things.
I don't know. It could be, but then if you're looking for completely different things, you shouldn't even be with that person.
What I mean is, in terms of where their mind was at when they got in the relationship,
again,
they didn't have their mind wasn't set straight. So when
you better set it straight.
You better do, but that's kind of like the reality of it. Because when they get into that relationship and that relationship doesn't seem the way they expected it to be, or they're not putting in as much of the work, or aren't in a position where they're able to come to a middle ground on terms, this is dry.
Well, this is the thing. This is why I just say, like, you should, like, yeah, you just want to, like, you want to more. Like, you probably want to more have a deep, like, think and all that in terms of, like, who you're getting with in that sense, and, like, kind of know what you want at the same time.
That's exactly what I think. I think, people should spend more time figuring out
and communication, man.
100%.
Always the biggest
100%.
thing.
Because, and just being, like, I remember you saying that the last time I was here where you were on about, like, Akon and what he was saying about just being 100%.
Yeah, you got to.
It's like, if you're keeping back, if you're keeping back 20% of how you truly
basically,
feel,
just to touch on that really quickly, because some people might not even know what man are talking about in terms of referencing from the Akon thing. But basically, Akon's got a bunch of wives, yeah. And my man basically said that
it was like 19, wasn't it? Or 9.
No. He didn't say a number.
That's what he did.
No, he didn't say a number. Obviously, them man were trying to guess the number, but he wasn't actually saying. But yeah, basically, bunch of wives, crazy. And he just basically was saying, keep it simple, like, just like, let them know what it is, man or female, whatever. Yeah. But let them know what it is from the get go, because then that's up to them to then make that decision to say, like, whether they want to be in this or they don't. They have that option. Yeah. But when you're not giving people an option and you're making them think that they're getting into this kind of, like, thing with, like, oh, it's just a me and you thing. And that's what they're thinking. And then, further down the line, it's like, oh, actually, hold on. Well, I never knew you felt this way. Like, it's like you're changing everything, innit? Yeah. So, like, it's like now they've got to adapt, or, like, now they might make that choice to, like, to not be in that thing, bruv, or whatever. Like, whereas, like, yeah, you could have just saved all that from the get go, like, if you just told them what it was. So, nah, for real. Keep it simple, man, and, like, let them know what it is from the get go. Like, it would just make everyone's lives a lot more easier. Like, basically, the bottom line of probably from all of that is people need to start having a lot more conversations in terms 100%. Of this whole thing. Because then it's going to make everybody's lives much more easier in terms of what direction to go in, and how and how that person, how they're feeling, how both people are feeling, whether that's you meeting up with someone or you're getting to know somebody kind of thing, and you're kind of looking at it from, like, you might want to be with that person or whatnot, and whatever it is, or whether you're with someone already, like, you just need the conversation needs to be. Yeah, it needs to be had in that sense. Like, obviously, 100%. If everything's all good, then cool, whatever, innit? Yeah. But obviously, I mean, like, especially if you're getting to know somebody. Usually when it is
good is because all those things are in check.
And it depends. Well, it depends. So I'm saying it depends in terms of how far you are in that relationship. But if this is like a 5 or so year relationship and everything's all still good, then you get me? That's good. Yeah. That's good. But in terms of, like, if it's anything where it's like a 2... maybe even 3, obviously, like a year or so, like, obviously, yeah, if you're in something and you feel like you in the back of your mind, you're thinking, like, yeah, like I want to talk about this or
Yeah.
whatever that's to do with, but like I feel like if I speak about this, it's gonna go this way or it's gonna go completely left, and then we're gonna get into some mad argument. Rare. It's not like like ain't nobody got time for that. Like, it doesn't need to be an argument, but like
It really
the
doesn't.
conversation
Conversation
needs to be had in it, kind of thing. But this is what I'm trying to say. If we just let them know what it is from the get go, then and you're both on the same page, then yeah, I'm just saying it's all about keeping the honesty and having that kind of them open conversations, bruv. That's what it's really all about.
Yeah.
Because then you both know where you're at. And there's none of this flapping around business, and no one's in fairy tale land either, thinking that, like, I hate when it's one of those ones where you just think it's all about you, and you like in the sense of like you think that whether it's man or woman, can or won't find someone else interesting. That's mad.
Yeah.
That's blood.
It's gonna happen.
That is the ultimate fairy tale of you actually thinking that out of the whole 8 billion people on the earth, that my man or he or she is, whatever. Nah, I swear it's right, 8 billion, blood.
Is it?
When I was, I can't even remember where I was. Where was I?
It probably is.
I think I was on holiday somewhere. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was. I was somewhere anyway. And it actually had like it had like the count
7.53.
7.53.
Obviously,
a lot of people's been done. So it's time. But when I seen it, but it was 8 point something, whatever. So yeah.
I said it. Wow.
Yeah,
For
but
real,
even still,
jeez, that's crazy.
like even still, you get me? That's madness to think that like I'm only gonna.
Some people are psychos though.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong, bro. Not everyone is, and I feel whether that's the man or whoever or the woman as well that obviously thinks or feels that way. Yeah. Like,
usually
you shouldn't think that way, innit? You shouldn't don't ever be in something and think like, he only like, I'm not saying his eyes or whatever, like, shouldn't only, that's the thing as well. See, like, I feel like it gets contradictory now, like, if that's even a word. But I feel like it's because I was about to say he or she should act like they should only have eyes for you in that sense. But then it's very hard to not look at something that you also find like attractive or very appealing in that sense, kind of thing. And then I suppose the next thing what they would probably mention is actually acting on it in that sense. It's like
that's where it goes crazy,
but don't act on it, kind of thing. But then what if you want to act on it? What if that's something that you want to do? And then typically you might just get that person that might just say, oh well, do that, but I'm not involved. Facts. Or you need to go do that on your own, kind of thing. Yeah. Which I get it. I completely get it. But I just feel like sometimes in some relationships and what, like, you know, especially if you really want to be with that person as well, or you want to be with that person, really, then.
But that feels very contradictory again.
Exactly, it's all contradictory.
I don't think so, because I feel like it's in human nature. Yeah, you're definitely gonna be attracted to certain people, because when people say, I feel like there's one person in the world for me, I personally think that's crazy. Are you telling me that if that person over across the earth, wherever the hell they are, happen to do something stupid and get killed, then your whole life is messed up because of it? That's crazy. There you go. I feel like it has to do with how much you're into that person, two, how much you're willing to let go for that person.
If you're gonna be with one person, and or like you're like that's you, like you best just make sure that that person that you're with, like for you, is an absolute thriller. Like just make sure, innit? Because
I was gonna be searching for time.
Because if you're like if they're not that, and you're just gonna, and like your eyes are wandering every minute, and like you know what I mean. That is like that is I feel like you need man need to be with someone that like you know, when you look at your girl, whatever it is, or like you just, or if it's a woman, they're looking at their man, or whatever way this is, like when you look at that person or whatnot, or when you think about them,
make sure she looks good, even if she doesn't have makeup on.
Especially. But yeah, just like
that's true.
Like that's all you, innit?
I'm
like
laughing at my own jokes.
Like what probably what some people may associate with love, and like they're proper loved up and they just can't get enough of their partner and whatnot. Like that's what you need to be. So if you're gonna be with the one person or whatever, you may as well just be with someone that you just can't get enough of, in that sense. So yeah, but again, that even when you're with someone that you look at in that kind of way, the same thing can still arise.
Friction.
Yeah, the same thing can still arise. So,
but
that's how you deal with it.
The way I see it is just like is almost like when you look at I don't know if this is a good analogy, but when you look at, for instance, a sports person, how they refer to how they worked for, they trained to get to a certain position, and they just keep training because they don't want to lose that thing. That's how I feel that relationships should look and work in that context. It should be like, it shouldn't be something that as soon as you get some form of reward from it, like finally you're in love, you feel that whole crazy thing, that you should then take your legs off of the. But
sometimes when this whole love thing gets mentioned as well, to me it's almost like, what is that?
What?
Like love, innit? Like I've had to question, I've had to question it like a bunch of times, even from when I was in my last relationship. Like it's like, and especially as well when you're just kind of just saying it, and like I just feel like it's just being said, innit? Like
100%. It's like just being thrown around.
Everything is love you, and it's like yeah, that's sweet, and I get it, but like it to me, it almost feels like it loses its meaning, or like just like it's if you're saying it every minute,
just overused.
Yeah, like overused, bro. I don't like that. Like for me, if I'm gonna say it, I'll say it when I want to say it, or when I really sort of like feel to say it, kind of thing, and I know it's coming from deep within. Yeah, in that sense. It's not saying I'm overusing the word, and it's nah.
I think usually it's used just because, and it's like just as a filler, or
that's what I mean,
or just because it's people expect you to use it, kind of thing. Nah, it's crazy.
And then you start responding with "love you too," and then you gotta start responding back with the "love you too." And if you don't say it, it's a thing.
Kind of weird.
And it's like, it's just like, yeah, man, I don't like the obligation in it to feel like I've got to say it because you said it. I'm not saying I don't love you, but I just rather say it when I want to say it.
I feel like it shouldn't even need to be said if things are going.
Exactly.
But yesterday I was talking with this guy, my mate as well from work. He I can't remember what the conversation was, but it's linked to that whole what you need to say, because basically I got roasted because I only said I love you to this girl after a week, and this man's laughing, bro. For real, you can't be laughing. This is serious.
I don't even know if I heard what I heard correctly.
Yeah.
So I want to say that again.
You see what I mean? You see what I have to deal with.
You were after a week, man. You said that.
Yeah.
That's bad, bro. What?
Wait. And so I was having a chat with this dude, and I'm not crazy.
Yeah, no, obviously. Why?
Because he was saying too that when it comes to a relationship, most people get into a relationship because they really like each other.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. But because of how deep love itself is, if you really like someone, why would you say you love them? Because love is another level of it. And I asked him, I was like, okay, so in your opinion, when is the time to say that? He said if in his relationship currently, I think it's almost like a year now. It was after 3 months.
After 3 months that he said it to her or whatever.
Yeah. And I thought about it, I was like,
everybody's time is going to be different.
Yeah.
In terms of like when they're saying, but it's almost like, when that person does say that, and then like they come up with the L word and whatever, and they say it, it's almost like, if you're on the receiving end of that, it's like, it's a deep thing now.
Yeah.
Like, just I've just heard the L word. It's like it's deep. Now it's like, it's a thing now, kind of thing. Yeah, you almost feel like you're on that next. You've just gone to that next stage now. Yeah. In that sense. So
because I feel like that when someone says I love you to this other person, when it happens to deal with a relationship like that, it's essentially saying that no matter what kind of thing, it's kind of like boundless. In my opinion, the way I view love is so sacred and it's so strong that it's like no matter what, regardless of all the people around you, I'm not watching that. It's just you type thing. That's how I see it, and that's where I see it directly linking to marriage.
Yeah.
Based on my belief,
and that makes sense. But then you know what I just heard that was contradictory in that whole thing was that.
What's that?
When you obviously said about it making you like it being a thing of like you're gonna be there just for them, in that sense. That's where then you're faced with that whole issue of like if a man or whatever of a woman starts feeling this way now, and they start feeling a way of like, oh, they're now feeling somebody else, and maybe they've been seeing that person or whatever for however long it is, and now they love this person. Now it's kind of like you've got to break it down, and you've got to explain like what this whole thing is, and then that person ends up hurt because they thought that you just loved them and whatever because that's what you told them. And obviously with saying the whole love thing, it comes with the whole, and then again, and this is
it would have to have gone to a certain extent.
The thing is, right,
in my opinion, for you to go that far, and then you're like, for real, this is crazy.
But the thing
don't get me wrong, it's possible to then fall out of it for whatever reason. But I feel like
then someone may even pose the same thing, like to say, how can you love more? Like, how can you love somebody else? And it's like, well, that's pretty dumb, isn't it? Like, how could you like? It's quite obvious that someone can love more than one person, isn't it? That's like very obvious, and people use obviously something as simple as like if you have children and you have more than one kid, don't just love the one kid, do you? Like you just love all your children, like so.
But I feel like that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, but then why is it really any different? The point is that there's an extension. There's an extension of this whole love thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's different.
I don't think it's any different. But I think
here's why I think it's different, because when it comes down to that whole, again, I'm looking purely monogamous because that's the only thing I understand. It's like this is you and the other person, and that's you two on the same level. Essentially, after marriage and everything, you guys are one. It's like it's not me, you, it's us type thing. So when it comes to kids, those are that's like there's tears to it.
What, the extension of their love?
Yeah, it's like it's not within this circle of us. Is within the larger circle of we, like family wise. It's a completely different type of love. If you get what I mean.
Yeah,
and
of course.
and then it extends to kind of like extended family type of I love my extended family thing.
Of course.
So it's kind of like levels to it. If you get what I mean. That's why I'll say it's different, because again, I'm seeing it completely binary.
Of course. I just feel like at the end of the day, just to round off this whole thing, the bottom line of this, whether this monogamous thing, whatever you want to call it, just have open conversations. Yeah.
Just
have open conversations, innit?
Yeah.
Like, just be honest with each other and just see how you actually feel, innit? Yeah. Like, and how and your thought process on things and whatever, and take it from there, innit? Like,
I feel like in addition to that, you should also be very, very self-aware, and also be true. Well, I think if you're self-aware, you'll be truthful to yourself. Because there's a lot of people that might be very truthful to other people and open with discussing certain things, but there are certain truths they refuse to tell themselves. And I will put my hands up as someone who's found myself in that position multiple
Well,
times.
that's the worst
But
thing
it's
you
like-
can do to yourself.
Yeah,
Well,
it
especially
would
when you're
really mess you up.
when you're in something as well.
Yeah, that
And
that is like
you're not
a
being
recipe for
truthful
disaster.
to yourself.
That's crazy.
And you know this, and you go through this shit every single day, or for time to time it pops in your brain, and you know that you're feeling a certain way,
Yeah,
and you know, and this is how you really feel.
it's how people get stuck.
But you're raw scared, and then
Yeah.
you're stuck, and then you're trying to figure out ways of how to become unstuck. But the way how you become unstuck is by having that conversation or whatever it is,
Facts.
that conversation is fearful,
100%.
and because you fear having the conversation, you don't have the conversation, so you just end up stuck.
Trust.
So yeah, like
It's mad.
that's what I got to say about the thing anyway. You get me? I'm not gonna check on the thing, but yeah, that's what I got to say.
Yeah.
Man. The madness.
Literally. This whole conversation thing is just it's just mad.